Las Locas. Half butter, half cream cheese.
Okay. Well,
Nothing is like a New York bagel.
so how do you feel about the episode this morning?
Well, you know that every time I've watched it so far, I've cried.
Yeah, it was.
It was intense. Thank you.
It was a little intense.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So today, New York bagel, half, because I'm really going to try to feed us after this. Like, after we do what we do, we're going to go rah, rah, speed, light, round, and a fried egg over medium. You like over medium?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ask. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Now, have you ever dipped the yolk into cream cheese?
I guess I'm about to.
Yes, you are. Dale. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. That was a good one. That was fantastic.
Let's see.
Ooh. What do you think?
Okay.
She doesn't love it, but I love it. So,
I mean, it's good.
and do you have like because I put a little everything seasoning on the egg. So it's like the sweet, because we're doing cinnamon raisin.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I love the combination.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you think about the episode today?
I thought it was good. I didn't expect the conversation to go the way that it did.
We never do.
But then even after we recorded the episode, you know, we were talking and it brought other memories about that shame story that I hadn't remembered until we actually sat down and had a chance to hear the episode and everything.
We were right here. I was working on the editing and I had it on my AirPod, but Jess and I were having a dialogue. And I was like, you know what? Never mind. Let me just put it on for both of us to hear, because you were also working on the reels. So she had her headphones on, but she had one ear uncovered. So that's when you heard some more, and you told me like you got this download.
I did.
Of something else that happened during that shame, which was also powerful, which was also it broke my heart.
Yeah. Because I had completely forgotten about it until I heard myself tell the story. And I think the thing is about shame, and that after you watch the episode, you're like, man, that, you know, I should have said this, or, you know, but we say whatever the Lord tells us to say. And we don't say whatever the Lord doesn't tell us to say, right? And sometimes you're saying something and then like you have nothing else. And that's just like the Holy Spirit, like, okay, you're done.
You're done.
You're done. Right. You said what you had to say. That's the message, right?
You don't need to add anymore, right?
But what I remember was, you know, here's the thing about shame is that it's like forgiveness, it's continuous. We have to continuously, you know, if we are, you have been hurt by someone, we have to continuously walk in forgiveness. It's not like we forgive one time and then
that's it.
And then, okay, you're
done. Yeah.
No, you have to continue, because the enemy will keep trying to rip that scab off to re-inflict pain, right? And so shame is exactly the same way. The enemy will always try to bring you back to a place of shame. And so what I was telling Alexa was, after I had, you know, my husband and I had gotten married, we had moved.
But tell them the reason why you moved.
We had moved because we were
really laid that foundation here.
Right. Yes.
I remember a little bit in the pod, but
yeah. So we had moved because it was just a very difficult situation. Like, we were ashamed, right? We had this stigma of, we had gotten married. And so our family were like, my husband's family wasn't happy. My family wasn't happy. They thought we were just getting married because we were pregnant. But the truth
two
is,
wrongs don't make a right.
Right. So they were kind of like, well, we don't want you to marry somebody that is not really the one just because you're pregnant. Like, you don't have to get married because you're pregnant, which is true. You don't have to, right? Ultimately, because that may not be the one.
But back in the day, that was a thought.
Right. Back in the day, right.
So like you're not gonna dishonor my daughter. You're going to marry her.
Right. So my dad was like, you don't have to do this, but the thing is, like, my husband and I, we really loved each other. Like, we really loved each other. It was so fast, though, that I understand why they would do that. Because I have a daughter, and she's 23. And if she did that, I'd be furious, like, furious. So anyway, we had moved just to another city at that point because, we would just, I just was tired of people looking at us like, oh, that's, that like our relationship and our child, like our family was illegitimate. You know what I mean? And it was legitimate. It was real love. It was, it wasn't in God's timing. That is my son. That is, we made our son, even though it was out, even though it was in a sinful way because of sin, right? That's my son. Yeah. That's my son, and he's legitimate. And God gave him to me. At the end of the day, he's still a gift. And God chose him to be in my womb. You know what I mean? Like, God knows my son. He chose me to be his mother, and he chose my husband to be his father. And so I guess the most hurtful thing was people looking at us like we were illegitimate all the time. Like, this wasn't a real relationship. This wasn't a real marriage. This, like, I was just living in a fantasy world. And it was just I felt judged all the time. And I just felt like.
Do you think that some of that came out of you because of shame?
Oh, yeah. It was a combination, right? It was, people, it was, the comments that people would make, or, it was just the looks that they would give us. It was my own, that sometimes when we already have a certain perspective, even a twisted look about something else can be like, oh, they looked at me because, because now we have the perspective, we have the lenses of shame, right? And so everything we look at or see is going to be,
that's what I wanted to know,
out of the eyes of shame.
Sure.
So I remember at that point, we were both working at the post office. My husband had gotten transferred to Florida when we were in New York, which is unheard of when you've only been working at the post office like a year, right? There were people there like 15 years that had been trying to get to Florida, and they were not able to get a transfer.
Because at that point, that was the largest exodus from Northeast to Florida.
Right. You wanted to take your job with you because you were going to get your New York salary in Florida, which was way cheaper to live than it was in New York.
Right.
And so we were like, oh my goodness, God gave us this transfer. God gave my husband a transfer in a month and a half. Like in a month and a half after requesting it, he gave us the transfer. And so I didn't get a transfer, which was fine because my ultimate goal was to stay home with my son and be a stay-at-home mom, which we couldn't do that in New York, but we could do that in Florida.
Right.
So long story short, we moved to Florida and we're like, this is fantastic. God is giving us a new start where people will look at us with fresh eyes. Yeah. People won't see a young girl who got pregnant. That's what I was desiring, that people would see Richie and I,
just see y'all,
just see us and the love that we have for each other and the love that we have for ours, that we're a real family, that I'm a real wife and he's a real
that you're not
husband.
You're not a happenstance because of a mistake.
Right. That this just didn't happen because, whatever.
Right.
And so we had found, one church and it just wasn't a good fit for us. And then we had gone to another church and it seemed like it was a good fit. There was, the pastor's wife's mother was also a pastor in a city a little further away. And she used to come because she ran the Bible Institute.
Oh, okay.
And so, I really respected her. She's a very smart woman. Had been pastoring with her husband for many years. And so one day,
I didn't know this side of the story.
Yeah. So I didn't say all that, but I was in Bible Institute.
Worse what you're about to say.
Right. I was in Bible Institute at the time, and I was also a leader at the church. And I was doing youth ministry and whatever.
So this is already like maybe a year or two after.
Yes, I was already, either I was pregnant with my daughter or already had my daughter.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is how many years?
Probably about 2 or 3 years after.
So this was 3 years after.
So this is what I'm saying about shame.
You started. This is important because, again, you didn't say the last two things.
Right. Okay? I didn't say that.
This is already, you've kind of like, okay, I'm over shame. You've accepted the Lord's forgiveness. right? You've accepted God's forgiveness. And in doing that, you pick up once again the calling of God over your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, I am forgiven. God still wants to use me. I'm available.
Right.
And you find this home church, you get involved, and you don't just become the youth pastor.
Right.
You don't just become a leader.
Right.
So that means there's some progression, there's relationship, there's foundation, you're showing up, you're being faithful, you're tithing, you're doing all the things.
Yes, all those things.
3 years later.
Right. 3 years later, second child. Either I was pregnant with her, or I had just given birth to her, and I was 23. So by 23, I had 2 kids already, right?
Okay. Which is I know it's very young, but for me, now at 40 something, I think that's a great age so that you just kind of like finish early and you get to enjoy your grandchildren and all of that.
Yeah.
With strength.
But you're not thinking that when you're 23.
No, you absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm thinking,
that's
what
just
in
me,
Jesus' name, what is I thinking?
Right.
And so, so at this point, I probably was going to school or was about to go to school or was in school. I was in Bible study. Like a lot of things were happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And so,
because you went full force, just like when at 17 years old, we came to church, came to the Lord.
Right.
We were full force.
We were all in.
So you went back to being all in.
All in with my family. Like this is what it happened, but now we're serving the Lord.
I don't think it was even a thought. This is what happened. So now I feel it was like, all right, let's go.
Let's go.
Right.
We got over it. We're done.
Yes.
Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be who God called us to be.
Right.
And so we were in the office, and she started asking questions like, how long? Me and the mother-in-law. And so of the pastor's wife. And so she starts asking me questions like, how long have you been married? And I'm like, I've been married this many years. She goes, that's beautiful. And I'm like, thank you. And she's like, so how old's your son? And I said, this is how old my son is. And, and her daughter, the pastor and his wife had a child the same age, and they were older than me. And so I said, this is how old my son is. And she goes, okay. And then she kind of just looked at me, and I was starting to feel nervous because I didn't like telling people how long we were married. I didn't like telling people the age
because math,
right? And so she says, so metiste la pata. And for those of you that do not understand this phrase,
define. There's no way to really define it in English.
Yes.
Because it's vulgar, because it is demeaning.
It's demeaning. It's like it's a demeaning ghetto way of saying, so basically you had a child out of wedlock. Metiste la pata means that you kind of just fragrantly, we're just having sex with whoever,
right?
And you got pregnant.
Can I use your phone? I'm gonna while you continue. I want to see if I can get the translation.
Yes, get the translation. So she says that, right? And it's really a derogatory type of phrase that you just kind of throw around. And so I was so embarrassed. And I told Alexa last night, I said, what happened to me at that moment? Mm-hmm. To be honest with you, I don't remember anything she said after that, because what happened to me at that moment was it felt like a tsunami of shame came rushing over me and overwhelmed me all over again right at that moment. And I left that office. I went home and I told my husband what happened, and shame came over me all over again.
She said a tsunami.
And I felt like
everything that God did in 3 years of restoration, of healing.
You dismissed, because that's what the enemy does. You dismissed all the healing, all the restoration, all the reconciliation, right? That God had done in my life with one statement, with one judgment.
Okay, so what does metiste la pata mean, right? You screwed up.
And it's slang.
It's a slang.
To make a mess of. You screwed up. So here I am from a pastor's wife.
You put your foot in it is what it...
Right.
But it's...
That I respect it.
Yeah. Pero metiste la pata is more like... Yeah. It's street. It's more... how do you say? Like... Fuerte. Like...
vulgar?
I said vulgar, pero... Like cuando alguien habla bien duro, coarse,
untactful.
untactful.
It's very untactful.
Yes.
And yeah, and it felt like any respect that we had earned,
you screwed up. You blew it.
Was thrown completely out the window. You just dismissed everything God did in my life. But you tried to dismiss.
When you said last night, the moment she said that, you felt a tsunami of shame.
A tsunami of shame. Return.
A tsunami is something that completely covers you to the point of destruction.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, because here's the thing. The enemy is an accuser. And he will take your past sin and he will throw it in your face. And no matter how many years it has passed by, it can be 1, it could be 2, it could be 10, it could be 15, it could be 20. There's things that I've done in my past that all these years later.
And as you're saying that, I feel like there are women there that are listening. Maybe they're in their 60s, 70s, and they can relate to this. And there's no freedom there. And we talked about freedom on this last podcast.
Yeah.
The freedom of being able to say, I no longer have to hide. And to know that in one judgment or one conversation or one, because the person, I'm sure, did not mean to hurt you, but why are you asking all these questions? Like, what are you getting to? I feel, and I'm not her, but it's kind of like, let me investigate, because I have a question. Like, you're young, how long you been married? I just want to know, like, did you marry because of this? Or, it wasn't tasteful. I don't feel it was godly. And just to know that shame could be someone could try to put shame on you again. So what we have to, how do you safeguard that? And how did you heal from that? Because we spoke yesterday morning, we obviously, I have 101 things for us to do. But I think yesterday morning, we sat for 2 hours and off camera, just had a great conversation, a very open conversation about not knowing what the podcast was going to reveal. But we kind of spoke about things that happened that still affect us today. That we're constantly having to give it to Jesus. But I don't want to die with this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But this is why I say we have to continuously walk in our freedom.
Yeah.
We have to continuously do this.
What does that look like?
Because the enemy will continuously bring it up to you to make you feel that tsunami where I can't even tell you what she said after, because I was so overwhelmed with the shame that I felt at that moment. And so to live in freedom.
Yeah.
It's doing exactly what Jesus did when he was in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights. And the enemy came against him and tried to convince him using the word, right?
Right.
To twist the word,
partial word,
to make him do things that he knew that wasn't who Jesus was. It wasn't in alignment with God's word. Right. He was the word, right?
Right.
And so he used the word, right, to come against the enemy. And so this is why it's so important to have the word in your heart, to know what the Bible says, to talk to yourself. David says that he encouraged you. You hear me say this all the time. David encouraged himself, because when the enemy brings shame to us, because he will, he's going to accuse you. He's going to make you feel like you made that mistake. You're stupid. You should have known better. You're a street girl. You're, a hoe, whatever, right? Whatever you're an addict. You're this, you're an adulterer. You're the, whatever.
All the things.
Whatever the enemy is going to use to accuse you of, right?
Yeah.
And this is where you have to know who you are in Christ, and you have to say those things verbally, and you have to pray that, I know that I'm a child of God. Right. I know that I'm forgiven. I know that Jesus died so he can take my shame. That's whatever I'm feeling right now, Lord, I surrender it to you. I do this. I go, God, I give it to you. I give it to you.
Right now.
I give it to you, Lord.
Yeah.
Because this makes me feel better. It makes me feel like, God, I'm taking the shame and I'm giving it to you.
Right.
I'm releasing it to you.
Right.
And so, and then you keep saying it, and you keep saying, I am a child of God. I am forgiven. Jesus paid the price for my sin. It is in the sea of forgetfulness. If Jesus doesn't remember it, then therefore I should not remember it. And the only one who's going to remember my sin is the devil.
Yes.
And that's a red flag. Jesus will never throw our sin in our face. He's like, I died for you so that you could be free. Why would I keep taking it and putting it in your mind so that you can keep living in bondage? He came to
set the captives free.
He came to set us free.
Right.
And so
but that's so important because the scriptures tell us numerous times, meditate on his word day and night. And that's why on the planner, shameless plug, on the planner, there's a section that says, pray the scripture, so you pick your topic. I believe in healing. So find every scripture that deals with healing and write them down and pray them. Your word says that by your stripes I'm healed. Your word says, and this is
your word says that those who are free indeed.
Right. So you could do that in any book. Do it on your phone. Do it on your tablet, whatever. But
wherever you're going to have it easily accessible.
Right.
So that when that moment comes where that tsunami comes over you and you can't even focus on anything else, you may be in the middle of work. And the enemy will use one of your coworkers and be like, oh my God, you're so stupid. You're so dumb. How could you not have known that? And then all of a sudden you feel like this inner child who used to get criticized all the time, and you can't even focus the rest of the day because
not knowing. Because
now you're living in insecurity. You're feeling bad. You don't want to face anybody. Now you're hiding out in the bathroom because you're so upset.
So Jessica put me on to Will Trent.
Y'all, if you haven't watched Will Trent, that's my boy.
Okay, so Will Trent, we're on like
Ramon Rodriguez.
Hello, Mr. Ramon.
It's our people.
Okay, so I'm on season 1, episode like 3 or 4 or 5. One of those. Anyway, this is in the midnight hours. We're watching it like 5 a.m.
So it's not midnight. We're watching it early in the morning.
Well, yeah. I mean, anyway. So we're as we're working on our things, we're trying to work because now by this time Jessica's like, I'm tired. I'm like, just wait a few more minutes. Anyway, so the reason why I brought him up is because he's dyslexic.
Yes.
I mean, there's a reason why I bring him up. He's dyslexic, and
this is good.
And so just kind of reminded me, you could be doing the thing that God has called you to do, and here comes a word or someone that tells you, that knows your insecurity or knows your incapability. Now, he has a very hard time putting reports together or reading reports.
Yes.
So he does it his way. He finds how to best.
And he's a genius. He's supposed to be one of the best cops.
He is the best cop, right? Because
he's the best.
His superior always tells him, you're the best that I have, right? And so, but when people want to get to him, they will remind him
of his little recorder,
or that he can't read that fast. And I feel like you could immediately see it. Obviously, we're talking about a fictional character, but you can immediately see his face change,
his countenance,
change completely. And so when you because I'm an image girl, so when you said that about someone sitting down and someone, all of a sudden they're brought back to the words that they heard as a kid or their teacher said about them. Yeah. You're never going to be good. You're going to be in jail before you get a job, whatever the case may be. And how we have to fight that.
Yeah. And I want to say this because I really feel like the Lord is telling me to say it, is that this situation happened in a church with a pastor.
Okay.
And I had a lot of struggles at that church with leadership. Partly because I was unhealed, but partly because they took an unhealed person and put them in a place of leadership when she wasn't ready to.
I need you to say that.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, now you're talking to people in leadership, people that are able to govern you or lead you, direct you.
Look, we all have some level of brokenness. We do. Everybody does.
Right.
You know what I mean? We all have some level of brokenness. Like, this is why Jesus needed to come and die on the cross. But here's the thing. When you take someone and you say, this is the problem with gifting. The problem with gifting is that gifting if you don't have discernment, gifting can give us the impression that we're healed because we can sing very well.
Gifting. See what happens when I feed her?
Come on, y'all. It's true, right?
Gifting gives the impression that you are healed.
I'm a great communicator.
You are a great communicator.
Did you
guys see our Get Ready With Me? I tell them how literally I was on the floor cracking up. Tell them, please.
So she says to me, so first of all, she texts me like 4 a.m, which she knows I'm going to be asleep, right? But the first thing I do, I look at my phone to see what's happening overnight. So I see this message. She goes, Jess, make sure that you record yourself. The minute you wake up in the morning till you get ready and like in the airport, all the way till you get to Amarillo, right? So I'm like thinking, oh my goodness, she wants me to, do these videos, right? This Get Ready With Me video. So of course I do. I get up, I put the camera, I do the thing. And I said, I have to be authentic. Like, I hate videos where like Get Ready With Me and they're like, they come out and you're like, you have makeup on. Like, and not just makeup that you fell asleep with the makeup.
Because this is twice.
Right. This is like, this is not, I fell asleep with makeup and I'm waking up with makeup.
But you could tell that I like,
right. It's like half worn out, the eyes are black. You know what I mean? This is not like.
Just making sure we make that.
There's people that wake up and their skin is flawless and they have curly hair and you're like, girl, no, you didn't wake up like that. Stop lying. And so, this was authentic, hair crazy, acne marks.
Tell me you didn't laugh.
I laughed so hard at myself.
No, tell me you didn't laugh the moment, like, because you see me, and then immediately the next person is Jane. Tell me you did not like spit up your drink the moment you saw all of this happen.
And so anyway, I'm talking through I'm talking to the camera. I'm talking to y'all, right? I'm like, hey guys, this is what I'm doing, whatever, because that's just what God has placed in
low voice because Richie's still sleeping.
The dog is sleeping. My voice is raspy, but that's just me, right? God has given me the ability to be able to communicate in that way. And so
I loved it. And you see, and when it's my turn to get ready, I'm saying absolutely nothing.
She's done. She's not saying a word.
That's it.
And so here's the thing.
You're a great communicator.
So at 23, I have a gifting. I'm a great communicator and I'm a great relationship builder. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, how are you? And I've just always been that way. So my gifting of communication and my ability to be able to build relationships gave the impression that I was healed, but I actually wasn't healed. And so
good.
So the problem is that if you're living in shame, if you're bitter, if you're angry and you have that within your heart, however you minister, you're going to be ministering from a place of bitterness, a place of shame, a place of unforgiveness, a place of anger, a place of whatever it might be. Wow. You know what I'm saying? And so in essence, when you have to lead other people, you're leading from a place of destruction already.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Wow. And so a place that God never intended us to lead from.
Right.
And so my pastor used to say this and it used to annoy me, but I completely get it now. And he always used to say, Pastor Mike would say, la enfermedad se pega. Ooh. And what that means is like sickness is contagious. Ooh. And so if I'm leading from a place of an unhealed place, you know what I'm spreading? Brokenness.
Wow. So
if I'm leading from bitterness, I'm spreading bitterness. If I'm leading from a place, if I'm leading from a place of unforgiveness, I'm spreading unforgiveness. Wow. If I'm leading from a place of shame, then my message is going to come from a place of shame. This is why when we hear some teachers or pastors preach, and then all of a sudden you start feeling condemnation. Condemnation doesn't come from the Lord. Condemnation comes from them. Our goal is not to condemn you. Our goal is to tell you that there is freedom in Jesus. The hero of the story is always Jesus. And if you hear a message and you feel worse than what you did before the message, like we have to confront the sin, but we always have to
conviction and condemnation.
That's good. Yep.
Yeah.
And so conviction is when the Holy Spirit tells you like, hey, there's something not right here. There's something wrong.
I want to walk with you.
I want to heal this.
Break it.
Right.
Not that you have to break it, but I need to help it. Allow me to work in this area of your life.
Right.
Yeah. So this message is not for the lay person. This message is for
leaders.
Every leader out there. Please take note.
And this is where discernment comes in. Like this pastor, was younger.
But sometimes if you have a smaller church, you just need the help.
You just need help. And you just like, hey, this person has a gifting. But here's what I've learned from that situation. Because I never want to again, criticize the pastors of that church or whatever. Here's what I do want to say, because there's been lessons that I've learned, lots of lessons that I learned of what to do, but even more lessons that I've learned of what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so what not to do in this situation, if you're a leader, is when you see someone and they're displaying a level of hurt or brokenness, right? Mentor them.
That's it.
Walk with them. Take time and sit with them. All I needed was attention. All I needed was for somebody to say, Jessica, when you speak sometimes, I can tell that you're angry. Talk to me about that. Why are you so angry? Why, like, where is this coming from? Spend time with people, build relationships with people. John Maxwell says that leadership is relationship, nothing more. It's about influence. Leadership is influence, nothing more or nothing less. And influence means what? Relationship with people. Just sit with your people.
Wow.
Build relationships with them.
Eso está bueno.
And so I just think that's where the situation went wrong, is that I was, I was hurt. I was broken. I didn't have anybody to walk with me through those difficulties in my life. I didn't know about counseling. We weren't taught about counseling, but now I know, right? Now I know as a leader to make sure that I built relationships with my people.
Right. And we're advocates for counseling. We're advocates for therapy. That didn't come until many years after in our life.
Where it seemed attainable.
Right. But as you're speaking, I feel like you're asking the leader to come on board and have a conversation, and that lots can be attained through this conversation. But I feel that James is a perfect reminder, and it says, confess your sins to each other that you may be healed.
Yes.
Right. So obviously, the sin was the shame, the sin evolved into the shame that you were dealing with, and that was manifesting in that brokenness. So it was a matter of, like you said, Jess, what's going on? Like, you okay? Walk with me. Why do you feel this certain way? And well, I think I'm still dealing with some stuff that I had gone through, and I thought I was over back when I was 21 years old.
And I don't ever remember having those conversations with them about, what had happened to me. And
right. But even just saying that frees you.
Right. From holding the secret. And I keep saying this over and over again. Yes. Whatever's hidden in the dark.
Yes.
Will grow mold.
Oh, wait. What?
Whatever's hidden in the dark will grow mold. This is why the enemy doesn't want us to tell our stories. Ooh. Because it's when we bring it to the light that there is freedom.
Yes.
Wherever darkness is, has to flee when the light shows up.
That's it.
Our darkness stories are the light.
Wow.
Our stories are the light. Absolutely. We're taking it out from the grip of the enemy.
Right.
And we're bringing it to the light so that God can use it for his glory.
So I always say, when we fall into sin, our story is the enemy's weapon against us, right? Whenever we fall into sin, whenever we fail, that part of the story becomes the enemy's weapon. And that's where the shame comes in, the guilt comes in. That's when the reminders come in, the cute accusations come in, all the things. But when we come to Jesus and give him that part of the story, now we take ownership of that part of our story. And now that part of the story is no longer a weapon against us, but we use that as a weapon against the enemy. Yes, this happened. However, look at what God has done. Look at the redemption. Look at the fallen getting up. Look at a new beginning. Look at the blood cleansing. Look at blood ties being broken. Look at generational curses, extinguished. Right. So what do we, using our story is us gaining power back.
It's taking it back from the enemy, taking back what the enemy stole. Right. And so this is why we keep saying, tell your story.
Wow.
Tell your story. And this, our conversation yesterday when we were both sitting in the bed, you know how girls do, and we're in our pajamas, was about things that we still haven't told the world, we all have things that we haven't told the world,
Mm-hmm.
and how there is freedom in saying it. It releases you.
It
you know?
releases you.
And so listen,
Because then, you know what? People are going to receive it how they wish, but it's out there. And nobody's holding it like, oh, I know she's not saying it, but I know this. Now they don't have that.
Yeah.
Because you took that from their hands.
Right.
And you know what? The sting, telling the truth, there is a sting at first.
Yeah.
But then it hurts no longer. It wastes your life to live in the secret.
Wow. Girl, say that again.
It
Please.
wastes your life living in secret.
Yeah. You know how many years it took me to tell even my own daughter? We never told them. And you know when she found out? She found out
because she did the math.
She did the math, but it was when we were teaching young adult. My husband and I were young adults leaders at our old church, and even at this church. And the young adults were asking questions about my husband and I's relationship. My daughter was part of the young adults, 19 years old. And they started asking questions. 19, y'all. We had kept this secret from her and my son, which I thought at some point they would do the math and figure it out.
Wow.
Okay, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
But
so it was never like a conversation in the family. It was
never a conversation. Let me tell you what happened. So the young adults are asking the questions. Oh, when was your son born? When was this? You know how they do. They want to know everything about you. Well, my daughter sits there and starts calculating. And then the look on her face, she goes, Mom, do you mean that Joshua, Mom, do you mean that Joshua was conceived before you guys got married? And I was like, yes. And she's like, what? And you never told me?
Mm-hmm.
And just the devastation on her face, she was very upset. And her eyes started watering. And I'm like, Ma, I was like, we're a family. We never thought that we had to say anything to you about it. And we didn't want you guys to feel like you were ever a mistake. Because you and your brother have never been a mistake.
Yeah.
Like, and then
you wanted Josh before you even knew Richie.
I always wanted a family. And so we went home and she was upset for a couple of days.
Wow.
And then I had to sit with her and talk to her about it. And I said, why are you so upset? And then I said, it happened even before you were born. Like, this was concerning your brother. Like, this was not, you were planned. Like, we planned to have you, you know?
Right.
And she said, Mom, because you told me that as a family, we should tell each other everything. We don't keep secrets from each other. And she said, you and Daddy kept this secret from me all my life. And you know what? I mean, I get that there's things that we don't tell our kids.
Yeah.
You know, I get that. But on the same note, she is right. We are family and we don't keep secrets from each other. And when we do keep secrets, it hurts the other people in the family.
Wow.
Because you know that there's something that you know that they don't know.
And it's, you know what? It makes you look at people, you know, it makes you feel like there's a wall and you can never see or have them see you. You can never look at the person in freedom. Oh, they know everything already, so we're good. You always feel like, man, if you only knew.
Right.
Or I wish I could tell you something. Or
Right. I wish
heavy.
I could tell you.
Yeah.
I wish I can tell you. So that's why we say, you know, tell your story.
Yeah, use your story.
You know, use your story. You know, don't keep it in the dark. You know, don't let that enemy have control of your story.
That's right.
You know,
it doesn't belong to him.
It's your story. You know, listen,
story.
You own the copyright on that. Okay,
Ooh.
You lived it. You own the copyright.
You lived it. Please,
yeah.
Please. So a new thing that just out of all of this, all the conversation that we've been having, a new way that we're going to end this all the time.
Okay.
Your story, your weapon.
I love it. Your story, your weapon.
Your story, your weapon. You're going to be seeing that.
That's good.
Everywhere. That is Las Locas copyrighted. That is ours. That's what God gave us.
I love it.
Your story, your weapon. Be crazy enough to use your story because there's someone very close in your proximity
Yes.
that needs to hear it.
Yes.
We're about having Jesus set so many women free this year from the bondage of shame, from the bondage of secrecy, from so many things. Listen, the truth stings at first.
Mm-hmm.
But after, I would not trade this freedom for the life of me.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, that story, when Jess told me yesterday, and I do want to say, and I want to, and then Jess will end us off. I do want to say that mother-in-law was not a bad person. I don't know her, obviously.
No, she wasn't a bad person.
But she was a great example of how we can all be used by the enemy.
This is what I was going to say.
Because Peter, with one breath, said, "You are the Christ."
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus said, "Upon this rock, Peter, you have answered well. Only the Father in heaven could have revealed this to you. Upon this rock, I will build my church," right?
That's right.
But then in the next breath, Peter responded incorrectly. And Jesus said, "Step behind me, Satan."
Mm-hmm.
Same mouth. So I do want to make mention that be careful what you say to someone.
Yes. Yeah.
And how you say it.
Right. And the last thing, which I meant to say earlier, but, we just go off on a tangent. The last thing that I was going to say was, that could have been easy for me to leave the church and leave with church hurt.
Yeah.
And a lot of things happened to me at that church that did cause me a lot of church hurt. But there's one thing that I did not do. God did not cause that church hurt. That was caused by people, imperfect people, because we live in an imperfect world.
Right.
And so it didn't stop me from going to church. I went to another church.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, God, this is not the place because I'm not growing and my wounds are getting deeper. They're not healing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I just kept serving God and I kept seeking God and because see, our walk with the Lord is about God.
Yes.
It's about our relationship with him.
Right.
People will always hurt us in the church. It doesn't matter. People will always hurt us. And God has to be at the center of our journey with him. And so there might be somebody out here that's like, I don't go to church because there's a lot of, whatever.
We get it.
There's a lot of church hurt. There's a lot of cliques. There's a lot of this. There's a lot of that. Yes, all those things are true. But God remains the same. He still remains loving. He still died on the cross for you. He still loves you. He still wants to heal your pain. He still wants to be in relationship with you.
Yes.
He still wants you to talk to him. He's still telling you, even though you may not be speaking to me right now, I'm still here.
Right.
I'm still waiting for you.
Right.
I still have a call on your life.
Right.
I still have a plan and a purpose. He's still there.
Right.
And so
then someone's saying, that's why I don't go to church, but I pray on my own and I read the Bible every day. Yeah, but we also have to be in fellowship.
We have to be in a body of believers.
And
in community.
And together, we make each other better.
Yes.
And that's 100%. Not just like a cliche saying.
Yeah.
We actually do make each other better. And there's going to be a house that's never perfect, but it's the place where you belong and the place where you'll grow, like Jess said. And it's the place where we just have to stop looking with eyes of judgment. And the Bible talks about that.
Yeah.
Stop looking through the eyes of an accuser and start looking through the eyes of a healer.
That's good. I think that's it right there.
That's it. Well,
all right.
This is Las Locas. Your story, your weapon.
As we close another chapter of Las Locas Chronicles, remember, in the midst of our daily locuras and the challenges we face, there's always a lesson, a blessing, and an opportunity to grow closer to the Lord and to each other. We also want to hear from you. If you have a story to share, a question, or a topic you'd like us to explore, please reach out to us. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to our podcast to stay updated with our latest episodes. And if today's conversation inspired you, consider sharing it with a friend or fellow believer who might need a little extra encouragement. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep walking in faith, embrace your beautiful locuras, and never forget the impact you can make in serving the Lord and those around you. Hasta la próxima.